Okay, good morning. Welcome to
Math number 492.
Math 492. It's our first math project of 2017. So while you guys were traveling, I went to a New Year's Eve party, and I brought a couple of our 3D prints because people were interested, especially interested in the squircles. But I brought this one too. What is this shape?
It's a different representation of the hypercube that we normally see.
Yeah, it's a different representation of a hypercube, and it was confusing to a lot of people, and it was confusing to me the first time I saw this too. In fact, it was really confusing, and it got me thinking about how different ways we could think about understanding projections from higher dimensions. So today we're going to talk about going from 3 dimensions to 2 dimensions. Okay, so we're going to pretend like we live in that world flatland, and we're trying to understand what a sphere looks like.
Well, to us it would look like just a point on the bottom, the smallest point that is just touching the bottom.
Oh yeah,
because it was just touching our plane.
Yeah, when the sphere wouldn't really understand too much that we could only see it in the plane that we live in. Let's not confuse things with the 4-dimensional cube. So as the sphere rolled around in the plane that we're in,
It just looks like a point moving.
it just would look like a one point moving.
Yep.
But the sphere could also pass through the plane a little bit. What would we see
So
then?
we'd see larger and larger circles until we got to the equator.
Until we got to the largest moving around. But I guess that would be where the biggest circle would be, and then it would just get smaller and smaller again until we see the point.
Right, as it went through all the way to the bottom. So what we would see would be this interesting progression from a point, small circle, largest circle, then smaller circle, circle. And the sphere might be able to explain to us what kind of shape it was.
Yeah, but
That you had to sort of...
But you couldn't visualize it.
Yeah, it would be very difficult for us as 2-dimensional beings to visualize the sphere, but the sphere might say, hey, you know what happened? I was passing through your plane, and those are sort of slices of me. So if you can imagine those slices all stacked on top of each other. And of course we would say, well, what are slices? But, so that's what the sphere might look like. But here's what got me thinking. What if we lived, just grab any piece of paper from over there on top of the piano. What if we lived in a 2-dimensional world, but we didn't know that our 2-dimensional world was bent a little bit. So it wasn't a plane. It was maybe something like this, like
valley?
oh, does that show up in the...
Yeah, it's sort of visible. It's like
So it's like
tilted like that.
tilted. Right, and we didn't know. We just lived in this world, and when we went from here to here, we didn't feel it.
Like us going to the other side of the world.
It wasn't like we were going downhill or anything. This was just our world, and it was bent, and we didn't know it was bent because we lived in it.
That's like people that we didn't know we lived on a sphere until
Right.
like
That
the
actually,
1700s
Thank
or
you.
1600s.
I've been thinking about this all morning, and you came up with a better example in 1 second than I came up with. Right, exactly right. We didn't know that the Earth was a sphere. Well, except the Greeks figured it out, right?
Yeah, but no one believed them.
So this is what we're going to talk about today. But by the way, if we lived in this world and the sphere showed up, what would be the first thing we saw as the sphere descended?
Well,
What do you
like
think would happen?
it might touch the sides first, so we'd see a point here and a point here.
Yeah, so all of a sudden what do we see now?
2 points.
and then as you
Then-
pass down,
2 sets of bigger circles.
and then as it goes through the bottom, you would kind of see like a bent circle,
It'd be a
Huh.
weird wedge. It'd be like a half circle there.
and then they would get smaller and smaller.
Yeah, interesting.
And
Huh?
the points would disappear first, and then the circle would get larger, and then it would get smaller.
Now, do you think this would be easier for the sphere to explain what shape the sphere was, or harder?
Probably harder.
Why?
Because you're seeing a weird set of things, like, and maybe it's bent like this, so it's not always even.
Oh, nice. All right, so let's play around with this a little bit on the computer, okay?
Okay.
Alright.